Mr. Minister, let's start with the developments today in Ukraine and Russia. We see something is happening in Bryansk region. We see Russians, but who fought for a Ukrainian volunteer group, said that they attacked parts of Russia. Do you know something about it?
You know, during this part of this war, I would like to remind that this war started in 2014. It was occupied Crimea and partly Lugansk and Donetsk district of Ukraine. And full-scale invasion started 1 year ago in February. And during this, especially this last year, always we see or we heard about some kind of explosive situation in Russia territory or in temporarily occupied territories like Crimea. And always I trying to persuade everybody, don't smoke in the dangerous places, because it's very important to keep the rules.
But there's fighters now showing that they are in Russia, and they produced a video, and there's also proof that, like, partially some of these men were defending Ukrainian territory on Snake Island. There's a CNN video about that. So these are people who were...
Honestly, I didn't see this video. I cannot to comment the thing that I didn't see.
So what do you know about the developments there, and what does the government know about the developments?
About what?
About what is happening in Bryansk region. You don't know anything about it?
No, you surprised me. Because I have a lot of, I have a very, very serious scope of work, so I have to...
Well, but that's a breaking news situation right now in Russia, and Putin is arguing about it.
I'm working very hard, and so it's for you breaking news. For me, breaking news every seconds, what is going on the battlefield. For me, it's breaking news, it's the next decision of our partners to give us some kind of new level of...
So the government doesn't know anything about the situation there?
Me?
As a defense minister?
I'm not a government, I'm a minister.
Yeah.
So that's why I try to deliver you my sentences. I don't know what you're talking about because I didn't see this video. I cannot to comment the things that I don't know about that. Sorry.
Should I show you the video?
After the interview, okay.
Okay. So it looks like you don't want to talk about it.
To be honest, it's a very strange situation when I have to comment something. Yeah. I can comment some kind of Hollywood movie. I like movie from Hollywood.
It's in the news since this morning that these people are claiming...
It's a news for you. For me, it's a news something else.
So let's talk about Bakhmut, the situation on the ground there. It's not clear, like the military situation. How far is Bakhmut surrounded already by Russian troops?
For me, clear, because I know the situation. They're trying to surround, but they have three parts of their troops on the north, on the east, and on the south. But Ukrainian armed forces controlling 4th or 5th part of Bakhmut city. And it means that we feel on this moment absolutely calm. As General Staff report to the president, and it would be, quote, situation is difficult but under the control.
How much longer can the Ukrainian army hold out there?
You know that Russians started this slow offensive campaign in Bakhmut direction 6 months ago. 6 months ago. We have Bakhmut as a stronghold. So it means that we have moral, we have desire, we have capacity to be there as a stronghold. And it's very important that in this direction we reduce offensive capability of Russians. Their losses of Russians, every day they have approximately 500 servicemen killed in action and wounded. 500 every day and night.
But Ukraine is also losing a lot of soldiers. And
sure, certainly, but...
critics say it doesn't really make sense to hold out there.
Strictly less. Strictly less. And again, Russians trying to threat us with the offensive, serious offensive campaign in the east and in south, especially in the east. And just imagine 500 personnel every day.
But what do you say about the loss of Ukrainian soldiers?
It's a war. We have losses. We have killed in action and wounded personnel also from the start of this invasion. But it's strictly less than troops of Russians. And you know, because it's a difference between Ukrainians and Russians. Russians provide tactics of mid-grader. For them, their servicemen, they are like a cannon fodder. For us, the life of one soldier of Ukraine means value. That's why we're trying to keep their lives.
Critics say you lost already way too many in Bakhmut and it's not worth it to hold Bakhmut.
Again?
That's what critics say. They say the Ukrainian army lost already way too many soldiers.
No, it's not true. It's not true.
What is too many and what is not too many?
It's very subjective calculation, so I think it's not the best reason to discuss it with the former lawyer. You know, I'm basically produce my decision under the facts, not on the perception.
So, but let's say, I mean, Russia, even if it took them almost 6 months to get close to encircle Bakhmut, if we assume this goes on the next weeks, maybe the next months, and if Russia conquers Bakhmut, what does it make? Would it mean for the Donbass?
Nothing. For Donbass, it means nothing. It will mean for Russians that they will have so-called small victory, because it's before the war, this city was a beautiful city with the population approximately 40,000 people. I mean locals. And before they ruined Solidar, they whipped out from the earth this city, absolutely, zero, burning land. And for them, it's just symbolic place, because they're using Wagner Group, private military company, with the former prisoners, criminals, I mean, and a small quantity of the regular armed forces. It's also some kind of competition between different Kremlin towers, who is more fundamental, basic tower for the Kremlin. And the owner of this Prigozhin, or the owner of this private company, he has a fighting with General Gerasimov, with the Minister Shoigu, etc., etc. So it's internal discussion. That's why they're trying to persuade Kremlin at all that they're more successful.
But if they would take over Bakhmut, they have the chance also to attack Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. Is there a chance for Russia to take Donbass as a whole?
I don't like the word if, because 1 year ago it was the main position or awareness in many capitals of different countries, I mean in the civilized world, that Ukraine will fall during 72 hours, and I mean capital, Kiev, and Ukraine will fall during 3 weeks. If it will be successful for Russians, are you going to sit at the table for the negotiation? That's why I don't like this word in this meaning, if. It's a war, it's a situation in the battlefield, so we liberated part of temporarily occupied territories from the February of last year. I mean Kherson partly district, Kharkiv district, Sumy, Chernihiv, Kyiv, and
yeah, but at the same time you're now losing ground in Donbass. So does it make? So is it that
yes,
Russia has
100 meters, 200 meters, but the main idea again.
But is it that Russia has learned from the past, from their mistakes?
Sure, certainly, it's true. Because, for example, like an example, when we used the game changer of last summer, I mean HIMARS, MLRS systems like M270 or Mars from Germany or LRU from France, all of them is MLRS systems. So we hit Russians' ammunition depot, fuel depot, their commander officers, and on a range of 80 kilometers. After that, they withdraw their logistic centers behind 120 kilometers. It means they are good students.
And on the ground, on the battlefield, I mean, at the front line, have they also learned from what they've done wrong 1 year ago?
Russians changed their tactics also. In Bakhmut direction especially, they're using the tactics, I call it like crawling offensive. And they use the storm groups with 12, 20 people, not more, wave by wave, wave by wave. And they're trying to move forward 50 meters, 100 meters, and after that fixing on this position. This process we see 6 months.
So what would it mean if Russia sends more and more people, like up to 1 million or even more people to the Ukrainian?
You know, they have people, but they have no weaponry and weapon for them. We see that, for example, 1 year ago, and this period of time, normally for them, they consumed 60,000 rounds of different types of artillery and mortars. 60,000 per day and night. 60,000, just imagine. Today, we're fixing that normally they use 15 or 20,000 rounds, different types of artillery, 152, 122, 120, and etc. It means that their stocks also reduced. It means that their capacity to use this weaponry with the new mobilized people also reduced. So they have people, but they have also a lot of weaponry, a lot of helmets, a lot of life vests. It means that their losses, especially medical losses, I mean wounded, also very big, because their people died after the injuring.
In his speech in the German parliament today, Chancellor Olaf Scholz spoke of, I quote, security guarantees for Ukraine that are being negotiated or need to be negotiated. What would these have to look like? For
me, it looks like that our partners, leaders of civilized world, like Germany, France, United States, Great Britain, Denmark, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Litva, Estonia, etc., Netherlands, will meet with us, with my president, at the table of negotiation, and will discuss our understanding of new European security architecture. It means that Ukraine have to get real guarantees of security. I would like to remind you, Budapest Memorandum didn't work. But we refused from the nuclear power.
What are real security guarantees from your side? What should it be?
Human treaties?
Yeah, but, so if you say we have to discuss these guarantees.
It's very clear. You can check the 9-point of list security suggestion. It was submitted by my President Volodymyr Zelensky during the summit in Bali. And we have everything in this list.
There is pressure from the US and Europe. That's what we hear, that Ukraine has until fall to take back territory. And if that doesn't happen, that there will be new pressure for negotiation. And how do you deal with that?
My President Volodymyr Zelensky absolutely clear said officially that we are not ready and we will not negotiate with the chief of Kremlin, who is right now in the chair, who is living in the bunker.
So that's still the same?
Still the same position. My president told to all world absolutely clear and understandable, and certainly Ukraine will be ready to sit at the table for negotiation, to negotiate the question of contribution, reparation, international tribunal and responsibility of war crimes personnel from the Kremlin, and it's so-called Nuremberg II. Yes, we can negotiate it about these three things.
But what happened if Russia takes more territory? Not only Bakhmut, but more cities in the east. And if you have to see, we can't win this war.
What happened? It happened in 2014. They occupied Crimea, they occupied partly Lugansk and Donetsk district. In 2022, they occupied Kyiv district, Chernihiv district, Sumy district, Kherson district, and we deoccupied this territory. So the one scenario, what happened in future, we will liberate all of our temporarily occupied territories till the status in 1991, when it was internationally recognized our borders.
There is still doubt in the US government, or there is doubt that Ukraine is capable of taking back, for example, Crimea.
I cannot agree with you with the estimation that it's a doubt, because the visit of President Biden to Ukraine directly before the...
There's sources from military, there's sources from US government. They say that there's not that they doubt that Ukraine is capable of taking back Crimea.
With all my respect to you, you argued with me using the word sources. I suggest you the fact. The fact was official visit of President Biden, leader of United States of America, personally in Kyiv, in Ukraine, before the anniversary of this full-scale invasion. This is the answer.
Being in Kyiv doesn't mean that he believes that Ukraine can take back Crimea.
It means that United States believe that Ukraine will win this war on conditions of Ukraine.
Then tell me, what weapons do you need to liberate the whole country?
Good question. I like it. Yes, I like it. I discussed it with my colleagues, the ministers of defense or secretary of defense of so-called Ramstein Club. You know that Ramstein Club consists probably 54 countries. So it's the biggest club than NATO allies. And certainly we discussed with our partners that priority number one for us is air defense systems. We need to strengthen capacity of our air defense systems. We need more IRIS-T from Germany. We need more Patriots. We need more Crotal from France, and Leopard from Germany, etc., etc. And aerial platform like fighter jet, also as a part of air defense systems. It could be F-16, or it could be Gripen, or it could be some kind of European fighter jets. Doesn't matter. It has to be platform with the radars, with the avionics, with the rockets. And second priority, ammunition, especially for artillery, 155 millimeter artillery, and more tubes or more cannons. We have from our partners different types. I call it ZOO, like Panzergaubitze 2000, Caesar, Susanna, M777, Krab, and etc., etc. But when you have a war, you will not have enough. And you know that partly cannons also became out of service. We need to repair, we need to maintenance them. That's why we need more tubes and more ammunition. Third, we need to continue formate so-called iron fist to break through their defending line. So we need more infantry fighting vehicles, more armed personnel carriers, more tanks, etc., etc.
What does more mean, and how many Leopards 2 will you get by end of March? And is this like some dozen of Leopard tanks are really enough to...
I would think that we will not have all of them till the end of March, I think, because it depends on the training courses for the tank cruises. And
so what time will you have it?
I think I would think it could be start of April, probably. I mean that it will be whole picture. You know, that we got Leopards from the Poland, and but all of these tanks, Challengers, Leopard, Abrams, and IMX-10 from France, I mean light tanks, with our tank cruisers on this moment in polygons in Europe.
So let's say you would have all of them beginning of April. Would Ukraine, or mid of April, would Ukraine be able to start the counteroffensive?
It will depend on the decision of our general staff, our generals, because they're sitting with the maps, they're planning, they understand all situation in the battlefield, and weather conditions. Also, it's a very main reason to start today or after today,
because
or tomorrow.
Because I remember when your general said some months ago that he would need more than 300 tanks to reconquer areas.
You have to read him in a meaning that he meant 300 tanks for 1 or 2 operations.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yes, yes. But it's his understanding of this, or on this, in the situation in the battlefield and that moment. But war changing the situation.
So you have expressed optimism about receiving fighter jets soon in an interview with Fox News some weeks ago. Where does this optimism come from, and where will you get the jets from?
Yes, you know that I have 2 very, for me, very bright examples. First of all, it was artillery. In March, I started discussing with Ben Wallace, Secretary of Defense of the United Kingdom, and Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense of the United States, the idea to change approach in artillery direction, in artillery issues, and starting training courses for our artillery cruisers with the 155 millimeter instead of 152's former Soviet era caliber of artillery systems. And in May, we get first package of M777 from the United States. 155.
So let's talk about fighter jets. Why do you think they are coming, and when?
Sorry, it's very important that it's a scope of work to prepare the last decision and after the delivering. The same was with the tanks initiative, which became tanks coalition. That's why I'm an optimist, because we started fighter jet initiative. We discussed with our partners. Our partners sent us signal that they are ready to start training courses for our pilots. It means that they understand that next step of strengthening of our air defense systems should be or would be fighter jets. But
when will that be? When will that be? Which month this year?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know how will be the training courses going on. For example.
But you're confident that they're coming?
Absolutely confident. Absolutely. But again.
And do you expect also Germany to send fighter jets?
Normally, to prepare cruises for Patriot air defense systems, you have to get 10 months. 10 months, normal plan for training courses. But our ambitions with the Lloyd Austin to finish these training courses for our cruisers, 10 weeks. It means that our pilots are ready with the English language skills also, start training courses, and I'm sure that they will finish it as soon as possible.
Do you expect also Germany to send fighter jets?
I think that it would be again so-called fighter jets coalition. We will have some kind of main plane and other types. For example, in tank coalition, the main animal in this zoo is Leopard from the Germany. But also we have Challengers, we have Abrams, we have light tank from France, MX-10, but the main battle tank is Leopard. So I'm sure that we will have 2-3 types of fighter jets, but it would be some kind of main bird, and it will depend from the engineers, which is the best for Ukraine, for our airfields, for our engineers, for maintenance, with the spare parts. It's also questions with understanding in a long period of time.
Chancellor Scholz said Germany will not send fighter jets.
Okay, on this moment not, but I remember the answer of respectful representatives of Germany that Germany will not send tanks. But we have Leopard in my country. I personally tested Leopard from Germany.
Talking about the front, the battleground, there's always in Germany discussion what would happen if Russia use tactical nukes. And my question would be, could Russia achieve military success in using a tactical nuke in Ukraine?
It's a bluff. It's a bluff. They are not ready technically. They are not ready politically. They got their clear message from the China and India also as well, from their leaders, that using of nuclear weapon.
But they still could use it.
Again, it's a bluff.
Why are you so sure about it?
Because I know Russians.
That means?
It means it's a bluff.
But what would happen if you have success on the battlefield? If you take back Donbass, Luhansk, and you attack Crimea, and Putin is still in the chair?
You know that the engagement of nuclear weapon will not give them any consequences that they want, because it will be not any results for them. They used against us cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, drones from Iran, etc. They're trying to destroy our civil infrastructure objects. No results. We will fight for our liberty, for our values, for our country, for our families. And they understood that we are fighting we are not alone. We have partners in the civilized world, in Germany, especially in France, in Europe, in other countries. That's why this using bring them. They will cross red lines, and they will forget it in the history of mankind.
Minister, there is debates about China is supporting Russia or could support Russia with military equipment. Do you have any intel about that?
Honestly, our intelligence doesn't have any proof that it was done. And it's just the rumors, just the discussion in the different capitals. For me, it's understandable that Russians have a problem in their stocks, in their warehouses. That's why they're trying to persuade other countries to become their member of their allies, like North Korea or China, for example, or other countries like Iran. They have Iranian drones from this side. But for them, it's a real problem that we have a Rammstein club. We have allies more than 50 countries. That's why they also trying to copy-paste our approach and find some kind of partners.
What do you think to achieve with the drone attacks inside Russia?
What kind of attacks you mean?
The drones we see every day coming from Ukraine, like yesterday, for example.
I didn't see nothing. I just heard about some kind of explosive. That's why I'm thinking that they have a very, very bad behavior with the cigarettes.
So who was it then?
Maybe it was a cigarette like a Lucky Strike.
Okay, but it could be also a strategy from your side to attack with Ukrainian drones inside Russia, no?
No, we use our weaponry, especially all kind of weaponry from our partners, only in Ukraine, in temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine, invaders.
These drones were made in Ukraine, so they wouldn't come from abroad.
I don't know about what about talking you.
The world-famous Russian opposition member and Putin opponent, Oleksiy, said last night on German TV that as a young Ukrainian, he would be very disappointed with Chancellor Scholz because Scholz has so many tanks and gives Ukraine so few. Do you agree with Oleksiy?
He's an honest man, and he had a very tough part of his life when he was in Russia. He has his position, and I'm sure that he tried to persuade civilized world to support Ukraine till the victory of Ukraine. It's understandable for me. And all who wants to bring this victory as soon as possible criticize all politicians who are reluctant or who are procrastinating some kind of decisions. Honestly, we had a chance to get tanks earlier, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, and every day we want to have more weaponry yesterday, not tomorrow. That's why for me this position of Mr. Oleksiy is absolutely understandable. He also believes in Ukraine. He also believes in our victory.
Is Boris Pistorius a better politician than Olaf Scholz from Ukraine's point of view?
I'm lucky that I met Boris Pistorius. He really active person, and for me as a Minister of Defense it's very, very convenient to communicate with him. We have no any problem for communication, and he took the position like a leader, especially in tank coalition. Boris and Mariusz Błaszczyk from the Poland, Vice Prime Minister, and me, we arranged like so-called tank lunch in Brussels last time during the Ramstein.
But I compared him with Scholz, so...
You know, it's not my, my behavior to estimate Chancellor, Prime Minister or President. It's a level of my President. My level, Ministers of Defense. And I'm really grateful for Germany that I have this counterpart from German side as Minister Boris Pistorius.
Joe Biden said in Kiev that Ukraine has a place in his heart. I'm quoting him right now. Chancellor Scholz said in BILD that this is also applied to him. Do you believe that?
I believe that all leaders of Europe, and not only in Europe and different countries, I mean civilized world, changed their understanding of Ukraine, changed their understanding of Russia, changed their understanding about the war in Ukraine after 2014. For me, it's absolutely clear. And these changing are positive. These changing are in the Ukraine interests. And I'm really grateful for that.
Can the war only end if Putin dies?
I think that this is a collective Kremlin gang. This is not one person. This is a background of propaganda in their TV screen. It's a propaganda that NATO countries or European countries are the enemy for them. And it will not change during one day or one night. It will take a couple days or weeks or months when somebody will come to this chair, to the steer, and this person or persons with real comprehending that they want to be again the person who will shake the hands with the leaders of the civilized world. And they have to prove it. They have to show it to the civilized world. And they have to pay for this atrocity in Ukraine, for these murders, looters and rapists.
So will this war end this year?
You know, I'm an optimist, and I see the situation in the battlefield. I see the development of support from your side, and I really see the serious conditions that we can finish this war this year with our victory. Again, I seriously think about that, because I see and I know a lot of. That's why I'm so optimist. You know that optimist means informed realist.
Thank you very much.
Well-known informed realist.
Thank you very much for that interview, Mr. Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.